Ginger lay on the sofa, her hands listlessly attached to the arch of her cranium. She couldn't describe this feeling, the way her heart spun around in her chest like butterflies whipping around in a cage. Or the way, her skin melted like butter every time Eunice walked into class with his tar-colored hair which miraculously managed to stay in place, atop a luscious exotic jungle. She couldn't really describe it, but she'd try through the permanent smile that licked her face like a gold-encrusted gemstone. Her eyes would tell a different story, they would sparkle and shine as though she'd discovered the unforetold meaning of life, perhaps she had. But, she didn't know what it was, she felt. Ever since Holland Mayfair 3 banned love and intimate relations, love was a long-forgotten word, or feeling. Birth was through an inception ceremony in which 5,000 women would come together in a chamber and promptly met by a charge nurse with a small tube of semen and some eggs. The insertion process was done by a robotic tool known as a dilator. Some women would scream, others would lay silent, nobody enjoyed the moment but it had to be done. It was your sacred duty as a woman to promote the natality of our species. But for now, Ginger wasn't visualizing this mandatory phase of her life. A fresh scent grew from a memory, it was Eunice cologne. It was exotic, the fragrant aroma of pine and primordial forest with a hint of sage, lavender, and some other exotic spice she couldn't quite put her finger on. Tess had seen cases like this before. Wild young girls with words serenading the air at warped speed and tongues wagging like huskies salivating over a fresh piece of meat. She couldn't quite recall if she ever felt this way. She probably had, but her memories were hazy now, almost like the script had phased out any ounce of her existence. She just let it be. Tess wrote some notes on a blank piece of paper. They were odd words that she could recall later or during the session that would help her navigate this newfound zest in her patient. Would it mean anything after all? Ginger helped herself up to a seated position, she crossed her legs in robotic succession as her smile was tossed with all the other emotions that she'd granted herself to let loose during this session. The clock on the wall dwindled down to the final minutes and seconds as her session concluded. She stood up, shook Tessa's outreached hand and diverted her gaze to the doorway that swiftly opened as the receptionist entered almost on a comical schedule. Ginger was somewhere else. Tess wasn't sure, and that challenged her to think aloud, why was she so damn happy? This sense of comfort and tender appreciation for life was not something the therapist was content with. It was strange, and had a bizarre rapprochement on her own mental journey, where it was spiraling now in the direction of wonderment. A few days had passed, Ginger had waited for Eunice to bounce tea.